right, gamers, we are still here. We are still thriving. We are still shining, and I'm so grateful to be doing that with all of you. If you are new here, welcome. This is Game Changers X Pod, your number one entrepreneurial mindset podcast where we go beyond the practical steps of entrepreneurship and into what's really going on in the crazy world. So I have an amazing light here next to me, Miss Mel The.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. You're most welcome and appreciate it for being here today. And Mel, she's before her time. You know, I was just telling Mel how I came up with what I believe to be a brand new concept called niching out, right? Mm-hmm. So I have a heavy influence in the marketing and branding space from my last entrepreneurial endeavor. And in that marketing space, you may or may not have heard the term niche down. Niche down is a concept where we choose a few elements to our business or our personality or our strengths, and we create our brand vision around those pillars to be more marketable, more digestible, sell. And I just want to take y'all back to earlier this year. It's January 2023. I made the biggest decision of my life. I'm scared. I'm feeling like a failure. I'm confused. And I knew that the only way I could go was up. And I knew what I wasn't going to do. And what I wasn't going to do moving forward was box myself in, was live by an algorithm, live by an industry standard. I said this time when I create anything, it's going to be with the fullness of me. And I'm going to build it with that clear destination in mind so that it can hold my evolution for the rest of my life. Absolutely. And that in itself is the concept of niching out. We're going to dive more into it as we discuss all of Mel's different avenues where she shows up and shines out to the world. Absolutely. So I will just let you tell our gamers all that you do.
Absolutely. Hi, gamers. As she mentioned, my name is Mel The, also known as Mel The MVP. So I am an author, podcast host, public speaker. I am a philanthropist. I run a scholarship program. I also own a management company. And did I miss anything?
I don't know.
Oh, and a chef.
And a chef.
Yes, there we go. I was like, I was missing one.
I love that. Where should we start? You tell us, where do you want to start? What was your first brainchild?
Gosh. I've been cooking since I was like 9 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Not noodles?
No.
What's your favorite thing to cook at 9? I want to know what you was cooking at 9.
So funny story. So my mother is from Jamaica.
Okay.
And so she went to Jamaica. So I was home with my brother and my stepfather. And my brother at the time was probably like 19. Mm-hmm. So his idea of food was like French toast, frosted flakes, right, and oodles and noodles. And so my mom was gone she was gone for like 2 weeks. And I think after like the first week, mm-hmm. I was like, if I eat one more piece of French toast, I'm gonna scream. And so I was just like, I'm gonna cook some food.
Wow.
And steak was the first thing that I made.
You was hungry?
I was sick of it. I was like, I'm tired of it. But I come from a cooking background. Like, my grandmother was a cook. My grandmother used to cook for celebrities back in the day. She used to cook for like Audrey Hepburn and Sidney Poitier and all of, those people. So
okay,
I've been around that. So watching her cook, I was like, I'm gonna figure this out. I think I called her and was like, Grandma, what I gotta put on here? What I need to do?
Clearly, my first meal out the gate is about to be a steak. So she must have known something. What was
in the freezer? I was like, listen, what's in here? I need to eat. And then baking. Like, I was baking in like junior high school. I remember baking cakes for like bake sales and stuff like that. So that would probably be the first thing I was mm-hmm. doing, I guess. But I've always been creative.
Yeah.
Like, I've always had that creative thing. I used to cut up like pillowcases and make clothes for like my dolls and
Yeah.
make all that stuff. So I've always had that creative part of me. And so when I was in high school, I used to do a lot of like the family events. So anytime we had a family birthday party, anniversary, baby shower, I was making the favors and doing the decor and stuff like that. And people started noticing. So people would ask like, hey, well, can you do the favors for my party or do this for my party? And my dad was like, yes. So here's the thing.
Right.
We're going to like incorporate this because if you mess up, they're not going to take my money. So I was like 16 at the time. So that was my first business, was doing like event
like catering
stuff.
stuff.
Not really catering. I was really doing like decor, centerpieces, party favors, planning events and stuff like that. And so that was my first real business. And it kind of grew from there.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And it's like, I heard you say that it all really stems from like your creativity.
Yeah.
Whether it's in the kitchen, at an event, in the story.
Absolutely.
Like, would you say that creativity is the core of who Mel is?
I would say it's one of the key traits. I'm a problem solver. Like, I like to put pieces of the puzzle together. So in all of that I do, from cooking to event planning, all of that is like you're taking different pieces of something and putting it together to make a final masterpiece. So absolutely.
I love that. I mean, I think everyone has their special sauce. And that's why I really wanted to have this conversation on Nisha Now and give people permission to explore, experiment, and discover their own special sauce. We're not going to be able to show up in our fullness if we're only choosing select ingredients. You have to mix it all together, right?
Absolutely.
And no one's sauce tastes like the other person.
Absolutely.
But they all come together and they just make magic, So, like I said, it looks like you've always been doing that.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a time where you went against the grain and you tried to scale yourself back, so to speak?
Yeah, I think, when you get after, college and you get into real adulthood, it's like, go get a 9-to-5, get a job, you got to pay bills, you got to do that. And like, surprisingly enough, my undergrad degree is in pre-med. So in my head, I was going to be a doctor. Clearly, that didn't work out. But I think that was for me. I think a lot of people, they say you're either left brain or right brain.
Yeah.
So you're either analytical or creative. Some people are one or the other. For some reason, God was like, I'm going to give you a little bit of both. And so being all the way one side or the other side just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
And so I did the 9-to-5 for, a long time, but there was always still that side piece. I always had that side hustle, that side thing to feed that other side. And then after a while, you start to realize, like, something's missing. Like, I'm not happy. And so even when I got older, I started an event planning business, and I was doing weddings and parties, but it still wasn't it, because it was just like,
this is a part of it, warm but not hot.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've definitely been there many a times. Like I shared with my last business, which was a spa, and it was a part of me that loved beauty. I love wearing makeup, and I love encouraging people to be healthy because I did facials, right? But that wasn't enough. And when I started it, I thought that was enough. I thought, like, this is who I am in my essence. I love beauty. I'm nurturing. But it really wasn't. It really wasn't, because one thing about life and time is it involves us. We develop, especially if we allow it to do that. So I think it's important for us to create space in our careers, in our relationships, in every facet of our life that can expand as we expand. Or we will inevitably feel trapped. Yep. And that's just like, that's the worst.
It is.
Yeah.
I do, in one of my public speakings, I talk about talent, gifts, and purpose, and how to kind of weave them together. And I think a lot of times people confuse hobbies with gifts and purpose. And then they also don't really understand how to execute. So, like you were saying, you love beauty, you love cosmetics, and loves all that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people take that and think, oh, well, I'm supposed to be a hairdresser. Or I'm supposed
Right.
to be this. And it's like, that may not be it.
Yeah.
You're supposed to do something in that field, but it may
Mm-hmm.
not be that specifically.
True.
You know, how do you feed the other pieces of you with that, with incorporating that? And so sometimes that's the difficulty people have with figuring out themselves, and that thing that's going to keep fulfilling them long term is, it may not be what's so black and white right in front of you.
Yeah.
You know?
It rarely ever is.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes the best lane is the one that you create for yourself.
Absolutely.
You know, and just, again, giving yourself permission to do that. I think that there's a lot of pressure, whether you're choosing to have a 9-to-5 or be an entrepreneur, to just, whatever you do, it better be successful, or you're a failure. And there's like no respect for that middle.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where the magic happens.
Absolutely.
In the middle, in that becoming. So it's like, okay, if you have a seed idea, you're not really going to know where it's going to go until you test it out. So it's okay to, you know, start small just to see if you like it. Yeah. Just to see if it's for you, and just build off of that. Because when we at least take that action and honor the part of ourselves that came up with the idea in the first place, it's crazy how things will come together and point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
So it definitely looks like your career has been the perfect example of that, because it's just nonstop. It's like, okay, you go from the cooking to the events, then you're telling the stories in the books. Like,
yeah, it took some time, and I mean, I think that we live in a microwave society. We want to put it in, pop it in for 30 seconds, boom, we ready to go.
Yeah.
And you have to think about like a microwave meal, TV dinner versus something that grandma cooked.
Right.
Like, yeah, the TV dinner, you're going to be full. You're not going to be hungry no more. But I promise you, you're not going to enjoy it as much as you're going to enjoy when grandma get in the kitchen and cook. And so we have to take that same approach when we think about our careers and our endeavors that we're going into. You can do it really quick to get a really, really quick result. And it'll work for the moment.
Yeah.
But is it going to be as fulfilling and as satisfying as if you took the time to really work it out, figure out the kinks, figure out, you know, the differences and the different nuances that you can put into it long term. And so,
wow. So when it comes to grandma's cooking, so to speak, did you jump out the gate cooking like grandma, or did you have to work through some microwavable moments?
Oh, I definitely had some burnt moments, some burnt cakes, and some toe up food. Like, absolutely. But like I said, like, I think the problem solver in me helped, because my grandmother was definitely not one to be like, okay, here's the recipe. Right. Go do this. She would give me little bits and pieces of it, but I had to figure it out. Like, I had, okay, let me do it this time. Try this. Is it good? Oh, no, that's not right. What's it missing? All right, let me try. And so I figured it out. And then even in figuring it out, I made it my own. So it may not taste exactly like hers, but it's my version of it. Right. But no, there was definitely some struggle bus cooking moments in the beginning.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that as well. Like, I got to a point where I just learned to really embrace failure. Like, I believe in failing fast and failing forward, because I'm just the type of person that really learns from experience. Like, period. That's it. And I've learned so much. I've gained so much wisdom and connected with so many incredible people by just trying stuff. Yeah. And if I had been the opposite of that, if I had focused on niching down and only doing what would bring me success and playing it small, I would not be as fulfilled. I wouldn't be as educated, connected, all of the things I love most about where I am right now.
Absolutely.
So
failure is inevitable. Like, I don't know any successful person that hasn't failed. Yeah. At some point. Failure is where you learn. It's where you figure out what works and what doesn't work. It's where you figure out what's for you and what isn't. Yeah. You have to fail. But You just got to know, okay, I failed at this, and it's not a failure.
Right.
It's not a failure. Like if you learn something from it, if you gain something from it, it's not a failure. It just that didn't work out. How do we tweak it? How do we work it to make it work?
Yeah, to make it right. Exactly. But the sounds like what you're really saying is you have to keep going.
You have to. I mean, if it's really what you want to do.
Right.
If it's not what you want to do and you were just doing it because it was trendy or you were doing it because you wanted to make a quick dollar, then you got what you got out of it, and then that's
next.
it.
Yeah.
But if it's something that you're really passionate about and you really want to, you have to keep going. It takes one yes. It takes one right moment. It just takes one. So you never know. The day you quit, that right moment might have been your next step, but you quit.
Yeah.
And you'll never know.
I always look at it like regret is so expensive. Like, have you ever seen someone who really regrets a big decision? They just wear it on their face.
Yeah.
And I always use that as a motivation to never hold back from nothing.
No, you can't get it back.
I can't let that live in my mind rent free. Like, it's not worth it.
Yeah. I don't regret. I tell people it's on the answer. Do you regret? I don't regret anything I've ever done.
Me either.
Nothing. Everything that I've ever done, I learned something from it. It taught me something. It helped me grow. It built character. It strengthened me. I don't regret it all. I don't regret any of it.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. So let's switch gears a little bit because we want to know what a day in the life of Mel looks like. How do you organize, manage, structure? Like, talk about it.
Goodness. I don't even know if there's words to articulate what a day
because
in the life.
We got to teach them how to niche out. Okay, we got the concept.
Time management, is important. Structure, organization is huge. I have tons of notebooks and notepads. Like I have stuff everywhere. I had a meeting the other day and I was showing somebody my laptop, and they were like, why do you have so many it was like, you have 86 tabs open on your. It was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, those are all the things that I need to either go back to, that I'm working on. Like, my day is it's like a ball of yarn. Like, it's just depending on which way you pull the string.
We call it creative chaos.
Yes, extreme creative chaos. But I mean, I don't do everything at the same time. So just because I have multiple businesses and multiple things I don't do them all at the same time. The benefit is I get to pick and choose when I do what.
Right.
So I don't have to overwhelm myself with doing everything all at one time. But really just sticking organized and knowing, okay, well, what's priority? What do I need to do first? Who needs what? What can I do today? What needs to wait? And really just structuring out how the things work. But my day is 22 of 24 hours. Like,
yeah. I could definitely see that. And I love that you pointed out that prioritizing and structure does have a role in, all of these endeavors, because I'm similar with, it's like, I use both sides. I'm creative and I'm very analytical. And sometimes they fight, but I know how to, I know how to bob and weave. And I'm able to seek, my heart is with the creatives, right? It just is. I love y'all. And I see a lot of creatives struggle with that structural part, how to prioritize it. And when I think about the narrative of building multiple streams of income to become a millionaire or whatever, the part that is missing is you don't necessarily build them all at once.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Like, that's really, really important. What they mean by that is you start with one thing and you build it up strong. That could take 2, 3, 4, 5. It could take 10 years. I'm just throwing that out there. Once you've built that solid foundation and you've done all the developing you need to do, then you can expand into those different avenues, right?
Absolutely.
Now, bringing in the concept of niching out, if there may be some other elements you want to add into there, not saying that you can't do that, but it doesn't have to necessarily be another business.
Right.
It can be, just a project. It can be just a hobby. There are different levels to it. But I think it is important to know that if you yourself are not able to incorporate that structure or that time management, maybe that's a place where you can hire out because it is necessary.
Yeah, you can't do everything. You can't always do everything by yourself. There's times where I have to bring in help and I have to get, assistance to do stuff. My friends and my clients like to think that I can do it all. Yeah. But I can't. And it's and everything that I have didn't all happen, like you said, at the same time. I wasn't like cooking and managing it all at the same time.
I just got a visual. Did y'all see that?
It's a lot. I'm trying to write a book, cook, serve.
I see that. I was like, okay.
But it didn't all happen at the same time. One happened, and it started to transition and move in a smooth way, and then we incorporate other things. Yeah. And you find ways to make them all work together. So outside of, I guess you can say, the writing, all of my other businesses function together. Okay. They all work together in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. With cooking and being a chef, well, when I do events, then I don't have to find a caterer.
That part.
And then with my clients, when they have events, they don't need to find an outside caterer. Yeah. Like they feed each other.
Yeah. It's like you created your own monopoly, kind of.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. That's big boss. Okay. She's like, hire my team for that.
Exactly.
That's how you do it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's in-house. I do all my client websites. I do all their logos. Wow. I do all their social media branding. Like, I do them all myself. I don't, I will if I need to hire out. But that was something that I learned to do and studied and figured out how to do because I was like, okay, well, these are resources and these are things that my clients are going to need. And not to be selfish or greedy, but I'm like, I'm not at the point yet where I'm making thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'm like, so the more money I can keep. Yeah. The more things I can do. And then I'm not dependent on somebody else. I'm not on somebody else's timeline. I'm not waiting for somebody to do something. I set my timeline. I set my project deadlines because I'm able to do a lot of that. But a lot of people don't want to learn all the intricacies of the business. Right. And you have to.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's so important at like step one that we define our capacity, our strength, and where that passion is, because that's where we can, as an individual, go the farthest. So maybe, if I'm structuring a company, I may not be able to put as much emphasis on, designing of those intricacies as you can, but that you're creative at heart. You love creating. Even if it's work and you may not feel like doing it all the time, you have a different capacity to do that than the average person. So that's where it's important for us to really have that sit down time with ourselves and say, what can I do that's work but almost feels like fun? What can I really do like for the distance?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They say if you love what you do, it's not work.
Facts.
It gets stressful sometimes. Please don't take it lightly. It gets stressful. There's days when I'm like, I don't want to do this, but I love what I do.
That's important. I feel like everyone should. I'm not gonna say everyone should. Again, y'all can do what y'all want to do, but I want everyone to do what they love, man. Because it's like, even these last couple of weeks, I've running on fumes. Like, I'm so tired, but I'm doing things that I love. Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know where I'm getting these extra bursts of energy from, but it's like, I love it. I love it. And it's nothing better than, being around people that love what they do, that love the life they live. It's inspiring. And everyone can really do it.
Yeah. That's when you find purpose. Like, I feel like that's, when you're able to do that, that's when you're operating in purpose. When you can run on fumes and you're tired, but you still get up and do what you want to do it and you still love it, that's when you know that's you're operating in purpose. Yeah. When it's become a drag and you're like, I hate it, and you just don't want to do it and you're not doing it, maybe that's not what you're called to do. Right. You might need to check another avenue.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Well, I definitely want to get into the writing because that one is a little different from the other. So how did you get introduced to writing books?
I've always been a literary buff. Okay. My father was a beyond avid reader. Like, you did not catch my father without a book in his hand. He read while he ate. He always had a book in his hand. So not reading was not an option for me.
Wow. Okay.
Like outside of school, I had to do book reports. Like my father was like, all right, so it's summer break. All right, pick a book.
He was one of those.
Oh yeah. It was always, he was like, I'm not going to force you on what to read, but you have to read something and not just read it. He was like, I need, 10 new words you learned. What do they mean? Like he was really big on that.
Did you comprehend?
Yeah. But I've started writing poetry. I've been writing poetry for as long as I can remember. And that's where my writing started. And a few years ago, after my father passed, I was like, well, I wanted to do something to honor him. And I said I was going to write a children's book. And so that's where I started my journey as an author. Yeah. And then a good friend of mine, Natima Cherie, who is the owner and founder of the Diamond Writers, she has her own publishing company called Transparent Gem Ink. So she helps authors publish their books. So she started the organization and she reached out to me. And the first time she reached out to me, I was like, no.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like it just wasn't my time. It wasn't time for me to go down that road yet. I think I had, at that time, I was still really heavy into building my management company. There was a lot going on. And I think also, I don't think I was ready to share my story. I wasn't ready to divulge that part of me yet. And so that was the first year. So the second year came and she came back and she was like, and I was like, yeah. Wow. And I joined the organization. It's an amazing group of women. Yeah. The organization is really structured on healing and women empowerment and, support and encouragement for women, and really giving women a space to tell their story and have their voice heard. And so, so we got there. So we do anthology. So it's a collective of female authors. And so we are actually getting ready to release book number 4. Okay. In April of 2024. So we're actually in the works of that. But it's been great. It's therapeutic. Yeah. And you also never know. Sometimes we question why we go through the things we've gone through or why we've been through those things. But sometimes it's so that you can help somebody else on their journey. And we always tend to want to keep our stuff close knit. We don't want to share. We don't want to talk about it. But talking about it is healing. Yeah. And then also talking about it you soon find that you're not alone. What you've gone through, there are tons of people that have gone through the same thing that you've gone through. And so we provide a space for women of color to tell their story and to also see women that look like them who've gone through experiences like them.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that is amazing. I definitely have to tap in with her whole organization. Absolutely. I see we got some amazing books here. Yes. Come on now, Beneath the Crown. Yeah. We got a little valid transparency. Yes. I'm really interested in this one. Really interested.
I'm going to leave you that copy.
Thank you.
I'll even sign it for you. Look.
And then we got the children's books, which I love. Yeah. But, I mean, what you're doing is amazing, Mel, really. Thank because, women, everyone has a story. Everyone has a story. But when we look at the history of women of color and how our story is a little unique, there's a different depth to the stories that we have to tell, the stories that our mothers, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers did not tell. Absolutely. That they could not tell. So, to be in this date and time as a Black woman, we get to not only tell our own stories, but we tell the stories of all the women before us, which is so special. Yeah. It's so special, and it's like, it's obviously been challenging to step into this level of vulnerability.
Oh, it's different.
Like, we were not, I didn't see vulnerability displayed in my house, but the need for it was so dire. So anyone that's able to get outside of their own feelings and say, you know what, I'm going to break this message because somebody needs to hear it. It's like incredible, and I salute you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And all the diamond riders out there, hey y'all.
And all the diamond riders out there. Oh, wow, Mel. This has been an incredible conversation. Is there anything that you want our gamers to know about you or any upcoming projects?
Oh, goodness. It's a lot going on over here. If you want to find out more about me, you can definitely go to my website, www.herthemvp.com, and you can find out about all the different avenues from writing to cooking to the management part of it. What do I have happening? One of my clients, La Vie, she has a live recording coming up November 8th. So you can get your ticket to that. It's called Up Close and Personal with Up Close with La Vie. So it's a live audio and visual recording for her. So you can kind of be real up close and intimate and be a part of that. So you'll be a part of not only the audio, but the actual visuals for that. So you can check out her website, lavie-music.com, and get tickets for that. What else is going on? I have another client, Doug McDonald, who has an event called Grateful, a praise and worship experience that's happening November 18th. It is a free event, so you can register to come to that. Definitely go to diamondriders.com and get your copy of Beneath the Crown, Valid Transparency, and look out for our upcoming book, She Is Me, coming out 2024. We also be having our Diamond and Blanc Gala here in Miami in April of 2024 to celebrate the release of our fourth book. So stay tuned for that. It's a lot going on. It's a lot.
I mean, did you give them like your contact?
I did. So
okay, y'all need to connect with Mel.
So again, it's www.herthemvp.com.
Yeah.
You can contact me there. All of my information is there. You can follow me on Instagram at her_the_MVP. And yeah, if you need logos, websites, if you need help with your brand development, if you need help with some events, if you got some talent and you're not sure how to get yourself together, talk to me. I'll be glad to help you. If you're looking for somebody to come and public speak at your event and give some motivational talks to women, teens, men, let me know. I have a list of topics that I do public speaking on. So I'm here for you.
We love it. It is all is well with Mel, okay? All is well with Mel. Thank you guys again for joining. And niche out, man. Let it hang. Do your thing, man. It's okay to not look like what is in culture. It's okay to feel a little different than everyone around you, but still explore, because that's where the magic happens. So if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on your bell notifications. Make sure you do so you are the first to know when we drop more game-changing gems. And of course, we cannot leave without thanking our sponsors here at Boss Nation Network. Yeah. Amen. Okay.
They doing it over here.
So, see you next week. Bye.